Maintaining a healthy pelvic floor is crucial to our overall well-being, yet many of us participate in habits that can cause problems in the overall pelvic function. My name is Dr. Brooke Kolisiak. I am a pelvic physical therapist who is passionate about helping people optimize their pelvic health. And in today's videos, I am going to go over 6 habits that pelvic physical therapists wish people weren't doing for their pelvic floor. I'm going to go through why these habits are harmful and what you can potentially be doing instead. Pelvic health is related to so much more than just Kegel exercises. Here's our pelvis. The white is our bony structure of the pelvis, and the red are our pelvic floor muscles. And all of this relates and works together with muscles attaching around the area. So our abdominal muscles in the front, our back and buttocks muscles in the back, and even at the very top, not pictured, our diaphragm muscles. All of those guys are, as a whole, considered our core canister. And these muscles help to support our trunk and regulate intra-abdominal pressure. Pelvic floor muscles are involved in sexual function, arousal, supporting pelvic organs, making sure that the sphincter muscles are closing so that we don't pee and poop on ourselves when we don't want to, making sure that we're helping to stabilize the bony pelvis so that it is feeling supported, and making sure that we get a pumping action going so that we're getting fluid moving from the legs into the upper part of our body with our lymphatic system. So pelvic health has an effect on our entire body health, and therefore it's something that every person should be paying attention to. Habit number 1 that is harmful to your pelvic health: constantly sucking in the abdominal area. This is especially common in women. We are taught from a young age to suck it in, and many women feel like they either can't or don't want to ever let their abdominals go. This constant inward pressure increases the intra-abdominal pressure and can put more pressure down through the pelvic area, which over time can have trouble compensating, and that can lead to issues like leakage, prolapse, or pain. No muscle is meant to be held constantly tight. Think about it in terms of like my fist. If I'm constantly clenching my fist tight, that is just problematic and really doesn't let me do anything with my hand except maybe punch something. I need to be able to contract and relax and move these muscles. Same thing goes for our abdominal muscles. They are not meant to be clenched tight all day long. Instead, something you can focus on is thinking about holding yourself up tall and being able to let your abdominal wall expand and retract with your breath. It should be able to move with that. It shouldn't always be holding in. So next time you find yourself clenching, think about trying to take a few big, deep breaths in and out to let that abdominal wall relax and move. Habit number 2 that pelvic PTs advocate against: pushing to pee. We are not designed to push to pee. Many women especially, and especially moms, are what we call power peers. They barely have any time to themselves. They get in the bathroom, they sit down on the toilet, and they push to get their pee to come out as fast as it can. This is detrimental to our bladder and to our pelvic floor. We are designed to just be able to sit, relax, and let the pee flow. So think about let it go versus pushing it out. When you find yourself thinking about wanting to push, instead, I want you to come back to taking 5 to 6 slow, deep breaths in and out while you're sitting on the toilet to just relax and let the flow happen instead. Habit number 3 that pelvic PTs wish you would stop is peeing just in case. I like to call it jicking because that just doesn't sound good. We are not supposed to go to the bathroom just in case. And so many of us get into this habit of going to the bathroom just in case because I'm leaving to go shopping, or I know I'm going to be in Target for a long time, so I'm going to go right as I enter the store. But our bladder is designed to fill and stretch, and as it stretches, it's designed to tell us when we need to go to the bathroom. And because there's stretch receptors in the lining of the bladder. But when we're going just in case, we are never letting those stretch receptors fill up enough or stretch enough to tell us that we have the urge to go. And so over time, this can mess with how we experience the urge to pee. And it can actually train our bladder to tell us with smaller and smaller amounts of urine in there that we need to go to the bathroom. And this is a slippery slope where over years of doing this habit, eventually the bladder just can start to tell us with very small amounts of urine in there that it needs to go to the bathroom, and you might go and sit down and not much comes out. And so we really want to be in the habit of listening to our bladder for signals that we have the urge to go. Our bladder usually starts to tell us when it's about half full that we need to go. And then the urges will continue to get stronger as the bladder fills up more and tells us that we need to get to the bathroom in a more urgent fashion. Typically, people should be able to go between 2 to 4 hours between their voids. So if you are, say you're going to be leaving the house to go shopping and you just went to the bathroom 20 minutes ago, going to the bathroom just in case because you're leaving the house is not a good habit to be in. If it's been 2 hours since you've last gone and you're feeling the urge to go, then it's perfectly appropriate to urinate when you leave the house. But you want to make sure to try and think about, do I feel the urge to go? If the answer is yes, then it's probably okay to go. But if the answer is no, we may want to see if we can delay that and wait until we actually feel the urge. Habit number 4 that pelvic PTs wish you would stop is holding your breath with exercise. Now, I know many of you are like, yeah, my trainer always is saying breathe with the exercise, and I just don't pay attention to it because I got to hold my breath to do this. So holding your breath is a pressure strategy to stabilize the core. And at the most extreme sense, when we're lifting really heavy weights, that strategy is there for a reason. But when we are not lifting super heavy, especially if we're just lifting our body weight or moving our legs or our arms around, we should not have to hold our breath to be able to complete the exercise. Instead, we should be using the strength of our trunk muscles to support the trunk and be able to move our arms on it. So if you find yourself holding your breath to perform the exercise, especially if it's a core strengthening exercise, you might find that that particular exercise is a little bit too difficult for you right now to do without holding your breath. And so you might want to think about modifying the exercise. So let's take an example of, say, double leg lowers, where you're laying down and you have both legs up in the air and you're supposed to keep your belly in and your back flat, and you're lowering both legs down to the ground and then back up. So your body may find a way to do that, but you might find that you can't do it without your belly pushing out, your back arching, and a big old breath hold to do it. So instead of moving both legs, maybe what you can do instead is bring one leg down and back up, and the other leg down and back up, and you can alternate back and forth. And can you breathe while you're doing that? Sometimes you just need the awareness to pay attention to your breath. And if you need a timing to kind of focus on it, oftentimes we tell people to think about exhaling with exertion. So as I'm going to do the heavy part of the lift, then that's when I want to be blowing out. So if I was going to push weights over my head, I'd want to think about blowing out with the push and inhaling on the way back down, so that any situation where I'm prone to want to hold my breath to do it, instead I want to think about, can I exhale while I do it? Habit number 6 that we as pelvic physical therapists wish you would stop is dealing with or enduring painful sex. Many women wrongfully think that as they get older, sex is just going to get painful, or because they've had a baby, sex is going to be painful afterwards. This is misinformation. It is common that women experience pain with intercourse after they've had a baby or later on in life when they hit perimenopause and menopause, but that does not mean it's normal, nor is it anything that you should endure. So if you've been given medical advice that your pain with sex is normal, just drink some wine, try and relax, it'll get better, or even worse, they say it's all in your head because everything looks fine, Please know that that is not good medical advice, and you are not alone, and there are options there for you. Pain with sex, like I just said, is common but not normal. Partnering with a pelvic physical therapist to help get to the root cause of what's causing that pain. Oftentimes it can be too tense muscles or scar tissue that's not moving well or faulty movement pattern. There's so many things that can be contributing to it, but we can get to that root cause of what's going on and get you back to having pain-free sex. Habit number 6 that we as pelvic PTs wish you would stop is focusing on and doing hundreds of Kegel exercises daily. A Kegel exercise, for those of you who don't know, is a contraction of the pelvic floor muscles. So the pelvic floor muscles go from our pubic bone in the front to the tailbone in the back and span across our sit bones. And they're intimately related around our urethra, vagina, and anus. When these muscles contract, they lift up and into the body and squeeze around the holes. And then when they relax, they come back down. Too often, women are told that a Kegel exercise is the answer to all of their pelvic health issues. This is simply not the case. There is so much more that can be contributing to pelvic health issues, and just telling someone to just do Kegel exercises because they're dealing with pelvic pain, pelvic organ prolapse, pain with sex, bladder leakage, constipation, you name it, any pelvic health issue. I have had patients come in and say they've just been told to do Kegel exercises, and oftentimes that advice is simply incorrect. Or even if it is good advice, women are told to do hundreds of them. Or they think, well, if I'm, doing a few contractions, it's better if I just try and hold my pelvic floor tight all day long. Like, I'm leaking when I'm jumping rope, so I'm going to try and hold my pelvic floor tight and do a Kegel the whole time that I'm jumping or the whole time that I'm running. And that's just not how muscles work. They need to contract, relax, stretch, coordinate with other muscles. And usually a pelvic health issue is more complicated than just simply being able to contract a pelvic floor muscle. We need the pelvic floor to be evaluated and see how it's working together with other muscles in the area to get a whole picture of what's going on. So if you're dealing with a pelvic health issue and someone's told you all you need to do is a bunch of Kegels, that's really false advice. So there you have it, the 6 most common pelvic health habits that we as pelvic PTs wish people would stop. As a recap, 1, don't hold your stomach in all day long. 2, don't push to pee. 3, don't go to the bathroom just in case. 4, don't hold your breath with exercise. 5, don't endure painful sex. And 6, don't assume that Kegels are the answer to everything. By becoming aware of these common habits and taking proactive steps to improve them, you can ultimately improve your pelvic health and your overall quality of life.
Thank you for watching our video. We hope you found it informative. We put out weekly content on pelvic health topics because we want people to be able to optimize their pelvic health throughout their lifetime. Make sure you like and subscribe our channel so that you're alerted when our next video becomes available.